It's Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. This is Rolling Thunder. I'm Chris.
I'm Ryan.
Ryan, happy as ever, clearly. It's good to
Yes.
see you, considering the
Um,
circumstances.
I'm super happy right now.
Clearly. For those listening or even watching, we've had some technical difficulties leading up to
You
this
could say
podcast.
that
Yeah, we could say that.
for sure.
Aside from that, you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm just amazed that that happened, and I'm playing back in my mind what happened, and there wasn't really anything I could do to stop it. So I'm
Uh,
choosing not to be upset.
yeah,
And
things happen, pal.
yes, they do. For those that are wondering what happened, my wheelchair drove into my computer desk, and I spilt a whole liter of coconut water over myself, and I screwed up my monitor pretty bad. So I can't see myself right now, so I don't even know where I'm looking. But
You're just look forward and you're fine.
okay,
Don't worry, I got us covered, okay?
okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're good, buddy.
Okay,
So how was your week?
um, it was good. I did Vancouver roast battle for the first time. That was fun. I took on Canadian stand-up comic and show booker John Gagnon, and we played a game of comedic Mortal Kombat, and I owned his soul. There was definitely a fatality at the end, for sure.
I
Yeah.
I heard through the grapevine he kind of intentionally went heel by the end, though. Is that?
Well, he realized that he had no chance about 3 jokes in, and then he just tried to turn it on its head, and yeah.
Okay.
And if he argues the point, I have videotape proof that I owned him after the third joke.
Are you a
so-
videotape? I would die to see that videotape proof. So
Yes, I'll show you when we hang out next time.
yeah, I mean probably next week. We'll be doing the podcast in person, so that way you don't smash a second monitor. I'm guessing.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and that way we could hang out and probably watch AEW All Out as well.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sweating in this room by the time this podcast is done, but whatever. We're gonna have fun. So yeah, you did that. Is that your first time doing like roast? Is that your first time on a roast? That can't be your first time on a roast, right?
No, I did the one that you in Langley,
Okay.
Alex Suarez. I took on Darwin Barcelona, and once again, I owned his soul. I'm pretty good at these things because I'm not afraid to go really dark and really mean, and I think other comedians, as we've talked about on the podcast and our show Rolling Thunder, a lot of comics don't want to go really dark or really mean with me because they don't want to get canceled. So it allows me to just be a complete asshole to them, and they have to be nice to me, and it's fun. So
Well, I mean, personally, when we do our show, we'll see what happens in October. I'm gonna try not to hold back as much.
that's good. I hope you don't.
Because when we did the one at Little Mountain Gallery, I felt after like although we've been over this on the podcast, you did that thing where you just completely no-sold one of the jokes. That earlier on, you were like, that is very funny and laughing really hard, which was not fair. It was not fair.
It just goes to show that I'm a comedic professional, and I can turn it on and off when I need to.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what it goes to show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good. You were roasting John Gagnon. What was, tell me some of the jokes he had about you.
He's like, John Gagnon. Ryan LaChance is, um, I don't even remember, man. They were,
They were
it
that
was
good?
weird. Yeah. At one point, I told him to try harder at one point, and that made the crowd laugh.
Yeah.
So, I was like, try harder. Do you remember any of his jokes, Andy?
Wrestling.
He made a wrestling reference, but oh yeah, he said that I suffered from a move called the paralyzer, and he just kept saying the word paralyzer over and over again. It was really strange.
That's great considering you're not even paralyzed.
Yeah, I know.
You're
I know.
quadspastic, not quadriplegic.
Yeah,
Bald
See,
and no, we're making cerebral palsy.
oh yeah. He said I was bald and from Alberta, so making cerebral palsy the third worst thing in my life or something. I don't
that's
know.
not terrible.
Yeah, but it did not hit.
Yeah.
It did not hit at all. Because I started the show with the wishful thinking joke, and I just owned him from that point on. It was great. So,
I'm sure. Like I said, I would love to see the footage.
well, we have the footage, so I can show you
Yeah. Yeah,
when we hang out.
you show me when we're hanging out together because like I said, I would love to see that. I man, I've been a part of a few roasts and Ryan's going full on gangster with his hat now. He's going
Yeah,
Jay-Z.
we're gonna
Uh
have to break down the fourth wall.
I have been a part of a few roasts, but like the last couple roasts that I did not have great sets, and part of it was I actually had people come up to me afterwards and be like, "Man, you really meant what you said up there, right?" And I was like, "No, I
Yeah, that's
not at
funny.
all."
That's funny about roast. How people like almost forget that they're supposed to be mean. You know,
Yeah, it's
you're supposed to.
100%. And it's like I'm being mean out of love. I would not be roasting
Yeah,
these people
exactly.
if I didn't at least like them.
What you said in the previous podcast, like it was when Joe Rogan was filming his live special, he had to say a few times, "They're just jokes, people. They're just jokes," you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, someone even yelled out during that special. I also watched Adam Sandler and um, Greg Fitzsimmons both released specials on this past Tuesday, the 27th. So
Yeah,
we recorded before then. I watched both of those specials that day. I watched one heading to work and one heading home because the Fitzsimmons one came out later, but they were both very good specials. The Fitzsimmons one, man, he had this joke where like the comedic timing on it was he just said something to intentionally make the crowd really like awkward,
yeah,
and then just it was a total timing based joke. It's His special's free on YouTube. I highly recommend any comedy fans listening to this podcast or watching it, go check out that special at some point. Finish watching this,
yeah. Finish watching this first.
then go watch that.
Yeah, I did see the Adam Sandler one,
What
and
did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it. I know that throughout that tour he filmed every show, and I only know that because my one of my caregivers and her significant other went to the show in Vancouver, and and they told the audience that he's filming every show,
Uh-huh.
and I love that he filmed it in a where he chose to release the one in a broken ass theater where the monitors didn't work, where his keyboard almost went through the floor at one point. Like it was it definitely showed a side of comedy that a lot of people don't see, and that is sometimes we gotta work in shitty venues that are not the most accessible places for comedy, you
Yep.
know. And I'm not even talking about wheelchair accessible, I'm just saying accessible in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you not think did you not think the screen thing was on purpose though?
I mean, it could have been, but then again, my caregiver said that he had videos and everything for every song he did. So
Oh, okay.
and when he cleaned things up, so I'm not sure if it was on purpose or not. So
I'm not saying it wasn't or it was. I'm just saying like when I was watching it came across as if it was totally on purpose. You know what I mean? Uh,
yeah.
I mean the keyboard falling into the stage. There's no way that was on purpose.
No, it shocked everybody. That was funny. Even when they gave him the wrong sugar for his coffee, I'm like, is that set up too? Where he had both coffees out there? I
the
don't know.
the funny thing was when that happened, I 100% was like, he's gonna pick up the wrong one at some point now. And when he was just like, this is splendid, I picked up the wrong one. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, yeah. I like this tribute to stand-up comedy, though. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was great. I didn't think it was, and I'm nitpicking here. I didn't think it was as good as his tribute to Chris Farley in his last special.
I agree,
Um,
but it was still pretty good.
yeah, it was still very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Uh,
What else you
But,
get up to this week?
well, I got kicked out of a farmer's market for soliciting for the South Rock Comedy Festival.
Do you actually get kicked out for soliciting?
Yeah, yeah. And they were like, but this is for the city and all this.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, you're not allowed to do that because we don't even allow politicians in here and stuff. And, yeah.
You're not a politician. Why do they hold comedians to such a high standard? It's crazy to me.
We're pretty good public speakers, though, so.
That's true. I mean, you know,
Well,
so are a lot of politicians.
yeah. But it turned out that I met the king of floors. You know, the guy that was Sir Scruffy?
Yes, I know that. I know that guy just from the TV ads, and I don't even watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, so turns out he's a huge comedy fan, and he also does a lot for. There's like a community food box that people can drop off food anonymously, and it's mostly non-perishables and things like bread and stuff like that. But he was filling the box up when we were walking by the theater
Mm-hmm.
that the shows is going to be at. Actually, the theater you're performing in for the festival, and we were filming promo at a couple of the venues, and he came up to us and he was super nice and he spoke to us for quite a while, and he does a lot for different charities, and he agreed to buy 15 festival passes and give them out to people, so it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, and then he told me that he remembered the first ever commercial that he filmed 24 years ago for the foreign company. So
Back when he
he's
was the prince of floors.
yes, yes. Back when I didn't have so much gray in my beard. Um,
Same.
but he redid the commercial for us while we were standing there. Like he didn't have the robe on and stuff, but he did the whole lines and everything. And yeah, I have it on my phone. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
How, like he was game? Was that his suggestion?
No, it was my suggestion actually. I just was wondering because we called him out on it, and he's like, "Oh, I can do it right now." So I was like,
Oh,
"All right."
okay. I was gonna say that that would almost come across to me as like, oh, you're a comedian, huh? Tell me a joke, and you're just like, dude, get out of my face.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
So
I got a story about that. I was doing a gig with Brian Major up in his hometown of Houston, BC, and after the show, we went to this house party, and it was like kids. They were all kids there, and this was probably about a decade or so ago. So
Okay.
I must have been like 26, 27. But pretty much
Okay.
everyone at the kid who owned the house and like straight up owned the house he was, God, I don't know, maybe 20 years old, owned it out full. Purchased
Really?
the thing because he had been working like at the mill since he was like 16.
Okay.
So just saved up the money, bought a house. Here's where I live. Here's where I go to work. And during
That's really smart.
during the house part, well, I mean, like, what else are you gonna do in a small town like that? You know what I mean?
That's true.
It is a very smart move, especially if you're gonna stay there. So
Yeah.
so like I was holding court in front of a bunch of people, just kind of telling like road stories from when I used to be a wrestling ref and that. And like they knew when we walked in, it was weird because we walked in and then there were a few people that were at the show, like it was some Christmas corporate gig, that were like, "Oh shit, the comedians." And I'm standing there, I'm holding court, and all of a sudden this like guy walks up and he's just like, "Hey man, like heard you're a comedian." And I was like, "Yeah." And like everyone around was like, "He's really good." And I was like, "Thanks." And he's like, "All right, yeah, tell me a joke." And I was like, "Not how it works. Like
Yeah.
I don't like how I talk is set up punchline, but I'm basically like talking about my theories on stuff on stage. It's not
Yeah.
it's not like knock knock who's there."
We don't tell street jokes. Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, well, you're not that funny." And he just like walks away. And then he comes back after a couple drinks. And he's like, "Come on, man, tell me a joke." And I'm like, "Dude, like, leave me alone." And one of the girls goes like, "He's not even at work." Like, and I was like, "What do you do for work?" And he goes, "I'm a logger." And then everyone laughed. Like, clearly he's not, you know? And I just looked
Okay.
at him and I went, "Well, log some shit for me. Show me that." And then everyone in the room laughed, and he went, "You're not funny," and he walks away. And then about 10 minutes later comes back, and he's just like, "Come on, man, tell me a joke." And all of a sudden I just see this fist come up over my head and just connect into his jaw, and it was the guy who owned the house. And just
That's awesome.
this fight breaks out over top of me, and I just left. I was just like, "I'm done."
To be fair, Chris, a lot of things happen over top of you.
Yes.
So.
Oh no, I'm well aware. But I just remember seeing this fist come in through my line of sight across and
That's
just
funny.
square connect, head did that 45-degree tilt.
Yeah.
But it was like a smaller guy. It'd be like me punching like a bigger guy where it's not going to cause a lot of damage, but it's going to start some shit. You know what I mean? And boy, did it start some shit.
That's awesome. So did you bust out the tables and chairs?
No, I left. I'm not getting
Okay.
hurt for this. Like,
you didn't jump off a ladder or anything?
no, I grabbed my shoes and left, and then I was like ready to leave, and Brian comes out, and he's like, "Wait for me," and I'm just like, "Hurry up!" And then he goes like, "I gotta find my shoes," and I'm just like, "Fuck! Hurry up, grab your shoes."
That's funny.
Yeah, like dead of winter, had to like walk back to luckily like where that guy was living, like you just walk down a hill to where like the motel was, but like it's like a shitty motel that we were in.
That's most of Canadian comedy on the road.
Oh, absolutely.
In
Absolutely.
a shitty motel.
Yeah.
Where you don't want to sleep. I sleep on top of the bed. I don't go under the sheets because it's sketchy.
It's always nice when they have a pool and then, I can get a late checkout and you just
Yeah.
suffer in the foyer.
I forget who was I telling that story to the other day, and they thought it was the funniest fucking thing. I forget, but they're like, "I'd probably do that to you too," and I'm like, "Yeah, most people I'd tell me they do that to me, So
Okay, I wouldn't actually do that. That was an accident on my part.
I know we've talked about this many times,
yeah.
multiple times on the podcast now, but I'm still gonna find a way to fuck you
Yeah.
when we're doing something on the road. I don't know.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
I'm gonna prank you somehow.
You're just gonna order food and then be like, "I forgot my wallet in the room," so
Yeah,
Ask him, pay for it.
yeah. It's on him.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Um.
she did roast battle, and that was you stick around. Who was on the panel of judges?
These three amateur comics that I didn't know
Oh,
before.
okay, okay,
I'm like, how are they even judges? They've probably done 5 shows collectively between the three of them. I don't.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
They
with
said
that's the one that Jake is like the ref for.
yes.
I heard. This is what I heard. I want to hear from you. I heard that one of the judges was actually the guy who used to run the Motten, not necessarily a comic. Uh, and I heard he read out a text that like John Gagnon sent,
Yes.
and I heard it was real awkward. Is that true?
Yes. Extremely awkward.
And
Like more awkward than me, like having the computer crash on me before the podcast. Awkward. And it was bad, man.
yeah,
It was so bad. I'm like, where's the door to exit? Can I get down the ramp fast enough? Like, I don't want to be here right now.
I did
So,
like. Why
and
didn't either of you just go after him during that? Like,
because it was at the end when they were doing their like spiel, and honestly, I'm gonna be 100% truthful.
mhm,
It caught us both off guard to the point where it just was uncomfortable. That's all
sure,
it was. It was there was no comedic timing to save anything. There was no. I just wanted to leave. It ruined. It honestly ruined the fun that I had on the show and watching the show. It just sucked it all out of me, and I'm just like, this sucks now.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know like what their beef was. He was mad because John unfollowed him on Instagram, or I don't know. It seemed really juvenile, whatever it
That
was.
welcome to the comedy scene, man.
That's true.
I remember years back, I was like in a conversation with someone at the Yuck Yucks, and another comic walks up, and they're just like, "Did you see what so and so said to me on Facebook?" And I was like, "No, I have sex." Like,
Yeah, I
what are
mean,
you doing with your? Let's stop arguing on Facebook. Like,
all these hurt feelings. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I used to go after people when I would post stuff on YouTube, like my sets and stuff, and people would make like, "Oh, your parents should have aborted you" jokes or whatever. You
mhm,
know, like they're just being like trolls on the internet. And I used to react and write back, and then uh, Emma, my caregiver, was like, "Why even bother like giving them the time of day? Because that's what they want.
yeah,
They want to get a reaction out of you." So. I don't read any of the comments anymore people leave on shit unless it's like something really important or whatever. And even then, if there happens to be a negative comment blended in with a bunch of positive, I don't want to bother me because the one expression I learned that really helps me in situations like that is not my circus, not my monkeys. And I just tell myself that, and I'm like, it's not my fucking problem, you know?
yeah. I end up. I think one of the things that I do, like I read all the comments on the podcast channel. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary yet, but it'll come eventually
Yeah,
as we start to pick up a bit more steam.
yeah. One
uh,
of us has to get famous first.
mhm.
It's probably gonna. Let's be honest, it'll be me.
Yeah,
I'm totally joking, dude.
you're gonna be Canadian famous. You'll get on Canada's Got Talent.
I'll have my 30 seconds of
And,
fame, and
yeah, you'll make it deep in that, and then that'll bring out people to your show, and I'll just ride your coattails,
hopefully that happens. Yeah,
and
so
we'll have a good time.
sounds good.
So, I did. You said you had a few things that you wanted to talk about on the pod today.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. The
Okay.
whole the whole debacle with my monitor coming down really kind of threw me off.
I'm
So
sure it did. I mean, listen, we can keep this episode short this week and
okay,
figure out what we're doing. I mean, next week we should be in person.
yeah,
And I mean, we'll be recording early. We typically record early, anyways, with these episodes, just so I have time to edit and post them.
yeah, exactly,
So,
exactly. But that just goes to show how much this podcast means to me. If I'm doing it covered in coconut water and
yeah, I know. I kind of want to wrap it up sooner than later too, so that way you can at least get that off of you because,
I can bathe it. Yeah, that'd be nice.
yeah,
Alright.
you were like backed up, and I could literally see like chunks of coconut, and I was like, oh, that's not good.
No, so stupid. I know Michael, my other caregiver, is gonna have quite the chuckle when he gets back. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because I always seem to do this to myself.
Now
Always,
I don't know how much recorded in the video thing, but I just know the lead up to it was you going like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh no, oh fuck, and then and then just everything crashed, and I was like, oh no.
yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty much what happened.
I mean, you were on Stop Podcasting yourself.
Oh yeah, that's what we were gonna talk about.
How was that? Was that I yet to do their podcast, and you know,
Uh, it was really good because it gave me a chance to promote the South Rock Comedy Festival. And it was just really nice to catch up with Graham and Dave, especially Graham, because him and I, like, he's basically the reason that I stuck around in stand-up comedy for the time that I had before I started getting paid.
mm-hmm.
Was he'd give me spots on the Laugh Gallery shows all the time. So,
Graham Clark's an absolute sweetheart of a person,
oh yeah,
and so damn funny, so funny.
yeah, he was actually the host of the show when I recorded I was part of the compilation album for Just for Laughs, the stand up for BC or whatever it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the host, so it made me really comfortable to go and like. It was my first major recording thing that I ever did in my career, so I was extremely.
Well, I don't know if that's true, but okay.
Are you talking about my?
Yeah, I'm talking about your debut album, Who Farted.
That's a deep
Was-
cut,
but-
man. That's a deep cut.
By the way, was that Carter Horty who introduced you? Okay.
Yes. And he did have that car joke that we like to say would get him canceled. Yeah, he told that joke right before he brought me on stage.
Of course.
Yes.
How much hair did he have at that point? Because that was like before I had even moved to Vancouver.
Yeah, it was like early 2000, 2005, I think. So I think he was shaving his head at that point. Yeah.
He had this bit where it was such a great act out where he talked about how he sometimes like breaks the water and does like the hair flip thing.
Yeah.
He's like, sometimes when I break the water, I go like this. And then he just sits there for a moment and lets the laugh like build and die down. And he's like, oh yes, that terrible thing that happened.
Yeah, man.
I really miss that guy like on this comedy scene because goddamn was he funny.
He was. He was.
You know, it is interesting how like a lot of the younger like eventually you become the old person on the scene, and then you
Yep.
see the new comics on the scene, and you say to them like, you don't know the old people on the scene,
Yeah.
because a lot of them like kind of drop off and disappear, and you're like, you have no idea how funny like some of these older guys were. That like
Yeah, definitely.
like
Like,
a lot of the guys who were like the old guard on our scene, like probably around the time you started, before the time you started, definitely before the time that like I started doing comedy in Vancouver. Like most of them are gone. Most of them,
Yeah.
they might drop in for something every once in a while, but it's like all of those old guys, uh, it's like, or some of them moved away too. Like Allison
Yeah.
Smith moved away, I think just before I got to Vancouver, you know. But it's like you don't see Erica Sigurdsson around that much. She's still
No,
around doing stuff, but you know, not as much anymore. But you
no,
don't see JP Mass at all. You don't really see Carter Horty at all. Like,
even Graham doesn't do that much anymore.
no, that you know, we were talking about that. I don't know if I mentioned this during last week's podcast. I feel like I did, but him and I were talking about that at Dion's memorial about how like both of us aren't really around as much as we'd like to be.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're gonna change that with our show, Rolling Thunder. We're gonna take this across the country.
well, I mean, we're going to take our show. That doesn't mean we're going to be hanging out around the scene as much.
That's-
And I mean, the thing is, I was trying to explain to someone because I went and did a like underground comedy club put on a showcase where they're sending the video to some talent agent. Okay,
Yeah.
and I believe like the talent agent said they want to submit to America's Got Talent, and amongst other things.
Okay.
So the showcase was like 3-minute sets.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone with one of my best friends after. He's like, "How did it go?" And what I said, and it's not no disrespect to the guys at Underground Comedy Club, no disrespect to, you know, the talent agent who sees what I did, nothing like that. It's just like for what I do and for what I'm trying to build with my stand-up act, like it felt like a complete waste of time for me.
I was supposed to be on that show,
You know what I mean? So like,
but Gary asked me to judge the Yuck Off semifinal. So
well, I almost feel like judging the Yuck Off semifinals would have been a better use of my time, too.
really,
Yeah,
well, that's too bad.
because it's like, I mean, what can you do in 3 minutes? Like, eventually you get to a point where 3 minutes is you going like, "Hey, goodbye." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Even on like 15 or 20-minute sets, now I feel like I'm just getting warmed up, and then I'm getting the light to get off stage. You know.
yeah.
So
I mean, like, this is why, you know, it makes me excited about what we're doing and how like
yeah.
so we're gonna and that's a thing that uh is gonna be fun, us putting together these rungs, and I imagine that's how we're going to have to do it for the most part, is because of your condition and getting you to go out to places. It's, you know, it's something that we have to work around.
Yeah, it takes a bit of work for sure.
Yeah, which is, it's fine. It just means that we have to work around it, and it probably means that we can't like go out on the road for a month. You know, it means we literally have to do like 5-day rungs,
Yeah.
come back, give you a rest, go out, do another 5 days, stuff like that. But that's
Yeah.
100% what we can do, 100% manageable, and we're going to do that.
Yeah.
I've got one venue lined up in Prince George for the spring, so I'm
Okay.
going to connect a few other ones with that,
Yeah.
and then you know, we'll build, and we're going to have a great time. And people
Yeah,
who
man, I just want to make people happy and give them a inside look on my perspective on things, and just have some fun.
yeah,
Because that's what it's about at the end of the day. Is if we're not having fun, the audience isn't having fun.
that's right. All right. Well, we'll keep this one short. We'll be in person next week, and I applaud you for sticking through it this week, but call your care aide, get bathed,
Well,
because
I will. I
you know
mean, Air Canada dropped me twice, and I still went and did shows. So I mean, I could do anything.
that's
You
true.
know, a little coconut water's not gonna stop me. So,
That's true. All right,
all
buddy.
right, buddy.
That's it for this
Well,
week's episode. We're gonna be on the South Rock Comedy Fest. What's the website for that, Ryan?
SouthRockComedyFest.com,
Okay. That's starting.
September 19th.
All right, going for how long is that going for? Like just 4 or 5 days or
3 days.
3 days? Oh, so just basically the weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, so go see that.
Over 50 comics, 9 different venues. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to be a part of your show at Galaxy. Is that correct?
Yeah, you and I are doing a Galaxy show, but that's not till October.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll plug that date too. What date's that? That's
October 17th, and then we're at Yuck Yuck Surrey, October 18th and 19th as well.
yeah. You
So,
know, for all of Ryan's dates, go to ryanlachance.com. .com, that right?
yep,
Uh,
that's correct.
I have to rebuild my website. Eventually, I'll have that up. I'm not worried about that right now. So yeah. Apologize for any audio video things with this week's episode, but as we stated off the top, kind of had some issues, so we're working through it. Next week, Ryan and I will be recording in person. That's the
Yeah.
plan, at least. And if
Yes,
not,
sir.
we'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
All right, Ryan. Send me a text tomorrow. Let me know when everything's set up, that it's all good. And
Okay, we'll do.
all right, buddy. You have a good one. That's it for this week. We'll be back next Wednesday. For Ryan, I'm Chris. Adios.
Bye.